Chapter 10 Darkwood, the vampire realm's shadowed capital, rose from the earth like a monument to night itself. Its black spires stabbed at the twilight sky, their peaks dissolved into a perpetual, bruised haze. I wandered aimlessly through the twisting cobblestone streets, my ragged velvet dress dragged across the damp stones. High above, gargoyles sat on the rooftops. Their stone figures glowed with a malice that seemed almost conscious. They looked down at me, and for the first time in my long life, I felt like they were mocking me. Beyond the city walls, the countryside sprawled in an endless autumn, a vast canvas of scarlet and gold leaves that shivered in the crisp wind. The vampire realm knew no other season. Its beauty was trapped in this everlasting fall, breathless and eternal. The air was thick with the smell of wood smoke, the damp richness of the earth, and the faint metallic tang of blood spilled long ago. Normally, I thrived in this theatrical decay. Tonight, it was suffocating. I stopped in the center of an empty courtyard and raised my trembling hands. I closed my eyes, digging deep into the well of my soul, demanding the roaring, violent inferno of red magic that had always answered my call. A pathetic, wavering spark sizzled at my fingertips. It hissed weakly against the cold air and died. "No," I whispered. I tried again, straining until my muscles shook and my vision blurred. Nothing. A sickening, hollow void echoed back at me. With a loud scream, I grabbed a heavy iron lantern from a nearby post and threw it into a stone wall. It shattered in a shower of sparks and black metal, but the physical drain left me gasping on my hands and knees. I pressed my forehead against the freezing cobblestones. My breath came in ragged, pathetic portions. Part of my power, part of my very soul, now dwelt in Sasha. A theft I couldn't reclaim. It was a diminishment that sat at my core like a physical rot. Unable to bear the suffocating walls of the city, I fled to the riverbank just beyond the capital's edge. I sat on the frozen earth, drawing my knees tight to my chest. I lost my gaze in the water's gentle ripples as they caught the fading sun's fire. I was completely shattered, a fragile shadow in a world that no longer fit my shape nor my purpose. Tears traced silent paths down my cheeks, cutting through the grime and weariness that clung to me like a second skin. Each drop was a humiliating testament to a wound too deep to voice. I hated the tears. I hated the weakness. But the grief was a relentless tide, dragging me under with every breath I took. Soft, purposeful footsteps crunched on the frost-kissed grass behind me. I didn't turn around. Volunteer settled at my side, his heavy black cloak pulled like spilled ink across the ground. "I knew I would find you here," he said. His voice was a quiet harbor amid my storm, steady and warm despite the chill in the air. I violently wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. My voice trembled like a dead leaf in the wind. "Pardon, Père," I whispered. "I didn't mean to flee. I just couldn't bear it. Not after all that has happened." He nodded slowly. His gaze drifted to the river. Its surface was a mirror of the sky's dying light. "This place has always been your sanctuary, ma fille," he said gently. "The one corner where the world's noise falls silent." "Oui," I choked out, with my throat sounding as though the words were fighting to stay buried. "It's peaceful, I can think here, breathe here. I swallowed the sharp lump of panic in my throat and forced myself to ask, what happened in the castle, Père, after I fell? Valentir's jaw tightened and his eyes shadowed with the heavy weight of the memory. It was a savage fight, he said grimly. Remus and I, we collided like gods at war, but neither could seize the upper hand. I shattered the goblet myself. I halted the transfer before it consumed you wholly, but the harm was done, unfortunately. My breath caught. Pure fear clawed at my chest like a beast unleashed. How much did she take, Père? I asked, with my voice being as fragile as thin glass. How much of me is lost? He hesitated. When his crimson eyes finally met mine, they were heavy with a sorrow that cut deeper than any blade. Half, ma fille, he murmured. Sasha holds half of your power. The words struck me with a crushing, violent force. I doubled over, burying my face in my knees as agonizing sobs tore free from my depth. My entire body quaked with the sheer force of my pain. It wasn't just magic. She had taken my fire, my invulnerability, my absolute certainty in my own supremacy. Half, I choked. She stole half of me, and I can't, je ne peux pas retrieve it. Valentir drew me close. His arm acted as a solid rock against my unraveling sanity. You endure, Martha. His soft murmur wove through my despair. You remained whole in spirit. Power can be reforged, reclaimed. You are mightier than this wound. I clung to him. My tears were soaking his cloak. My fingers dug desperately into the fabric, as though he was my last anchor to reason. What now, Père? How do I live halved, diminished? We have time, he promised, with his hand stroking my dark hair with a profound tenderness. Time to scheme, to improve, to carve a path forward. You are not alone in this, ma fille. We lingered there, on the river bank. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, watching the sky deepen to a bruised indigo. Stars pierced the endless void above us like tiny shards of distant hope. When we finally rose to leave, the frost-covered grass carried only a faint imprint of our weight. I looked back at the dark river one last time as night claimed the realm and the wind scattered the autumn leaves. I was diminished. I was broken. But as the freezing wind bit at my tear-stained cheeks, a new, desperate hunger began to replace the grief. Sasha had carved out half of my soul, leaving a gaping, agonizing void. But voids demand to be filled. If I could not take my magic back from the girl of fire, I would find other souls to consume. I would hunt in the quiet, mundane corners of the worlds until the screaming in my chest finally stops. The world went on, vast and silent, as two souls melted into the shadows.